refreshing the page. I'm not seeing anything, so I'm in trouble with that. I can't tell that we're on the air. I'm going to close my browser. Folks, if you can hear me out there, we are underway. If you can't hear me, well, you can hear me. It's okay, but I pressed the thing to stream, and it appears to be streaming. And there it's working. It might have been working all along. PJ.TV 9:31. We may have been on the air a minute already. I don't know. How would I know these things? Okay, bumper is running. Michelle is waiting. Chat room waiting. Recording, streaming, counting down to Studio 18. Starting now. 4, 3, 2, 1. I always wonder, should you include 0 in the countdown? These are important things. Well, welcome to PJNet.TV. I'm your host, Coach Prasick. I get to sit here and listen to some of the most interesting and positive and energized people in the kingdom of Christ. What a joy. Well, the good news is you get to listen to it too, if you want to. I have no choice. But even if I did, I would. Okay. Hey, if you're watching this on social media, maybe YouTube, maybe Facebook, wherever, we're so glad that you stopped by, and we hope that you enjoy the program tonight. Myself and Michelle will do everything possible to see to it that you feel encouraged and uplifted and positive and strengthened because you were here. And we appreciate you being here. Okay, now, if you would like, we would certainly enjoy having you join us in the pjnet.tv chat room. It's there, that's the address, literally pjnet.tv is the location. Now, if you go there, you can watch the same exact thing that you're seeing here, no problem. And you can enjoy the fellowship of some wonderful brothers and sisters in Christ. So, why would you want to watch? Well, here's why. Not to see me and hear me blather about it, but Michelle Medlock Adams joins us every Wednesday night at this time, and she is standing by in her beautiful home office studio thing. And there you go, Michelle. It's good to have you back, and you haven't traveled or been absent in 2 weeks in a row now. Should you get a prize of some kind, perhaps?
There should be some sort of a reward, don't you think? I mean, I don't know.
I think there are rewards out there for you, but I don't know in what vein they are. But in any event, it's been great. You visited with have you gotten over the grandchildren thing yet? Are we back to earth now?
Yes, I mean, I miss them, but I get to FaceTime with them quite often, and Ren lives in town, so she's coming over tomorrow. I'm babysitting while her mother gets her hair done, so I get my Rennie fixed at least once a week. Nothing like it. Being a GT is the best thing in the world, I'm telling you.
It is. Now, I was absent or in absentia yesterday. Did you and Marty and Lee do your Bible study together?
We did. Actually, we tape it on Monday.
Okay.
And so we taped it Monday morning. And then Marty and Lee started meeting back at the church Tuesday.
Okay.
They actually did it in person. So we did virtual on Monday, and then they met in person on Tuesday. I couldn't meet Tuesday because I already had a Zoom. I have Zoom on Tuesdays. I don't know if I told you, but Kyle Young, Bethany Jett, and myself have started a podcast. Okay. It's called The Triple Threat. So we're taping on Tuesdays. We actually, right? We put it out there on Facebook, and some of you guys helped us name it.
Were you considering Three Stooges? Maybe.
Well, I think someone did suggest that. It might have been you, Coach.
No,
might have been more appropriate, but yeah, we are having a good time. It's a lot of fun to talk about the kingdom of God with good friends, which is what we do here.
So when is that?
I'm not sure when they're debuting the first episode, but they wanted us to tape several, record several first.
So this is brand new.
Yeah. It is brand new. We talked about it all last year, and then we started working on this in January. So yeah.
Okay.
Pretty exciting.
Well, it's always good to see a multitude of ministries, and we have that opportunity now with social media and Zoom and all that, because it helps us, it broadens our perspective. That was your segue. The
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It broadens our perspective. Gosh, I need some more caffeine, Coach. I was a little slow in the uptake there. Yes, I was waiting for some other prolific words to come out of your mouth, and you're waiting for me. Perspective, Coach. That's great. I would like to talk about perspective tonight. Well, we're going to when you do the highlights, could you make that a little smoother there? Goodness. So whenever we get on here at night, Coach will say, "No, what do you want to talk about?" And so I told him I wanted to talk about getting the right perspective, because this week is my niece. Actually, she's my great niece, Waverly Ward. It's her birthday this week, and I wish I could tell you exactly how old she is. I just know she's in middle school. I don't know if she's 12. I think she might be 12, but she is just precious. I've been in Waverly's life since she was born. But her mama, Mandy, is my niece, Marty's oldest daughter. And so Mandy and her sister Autumn are more like my sisters, really. They're, close to my age. And then I love their kids like my own. So Waverly is just precious. And when I heard this story, immediately just because I love her so much, it just blessed my heart. And I thought I have to share this with you guys. So this happened a couple of years ago. And I wrote about it for Todd Starnes for his blog page. And I came across it today when I was looking for something to speak about. And I thought, oh, it's her birthday, so I'll talk about it. So I don't know how many of you grew up watching Disney. I mean, I grew up watching all the Disney movies. I loved them. And one of my favorites, my daughter's favorites, Abby especially, loved Beauty and the Beast. That was just like her all-time favorite. Then, in the last couple of years, they did the real life kind where it's like it's actually actors doing the part. It's not just an animated thing. So it brings Beauty and the Beast, to life. It's crazy good.
It's probably 3D.
It's so awesome. Anyway, and the music was amazing. But as they were gearing up for that to be released, it was going to be released that February. It's been a couple of years ago now. Waverly School decided they would do their own rendition of Beauty and the Beast.
Oh.
So, that's pretty exciting when you get to be in drama. I was in drama in school. I know that's a hard stretch.
Hard to believe, yeah.
Yes, I know. That was a drama minor in college. But I loved it. And Waverly has that ability too. So she tried out. And every little girl, if you're going to try out for Beauty and the Beast, you want to be Belle. To be Belle, to wear the beautiful yellow satin gown and with all the frills and to do the dancing and the singing. I mean, that's the leading lady. You want to be Belle. So, of course, Waverly wanted to be Belle. Mm-hmm. So she, rehearsed her song and all of her lines, and she was good. And when she tried out, she was sure she'd nailed it. You know when you do a great job, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I think that it was like 3 or 4 days before the lady who was in charge at the production announced the parts, and they all had to come back into the theater, and she would go by and tell who got what. And so when she came to Waverly was just waiting for her to say, "And Waverly Ward, you get to be Belle." And instead she said, "Waverly Ward, you get to be Babette, the feather duster." She was like, the feather duster? Like, she doesn't have that many lines. I mean, she's super cute, but not exactly what her heart was set on. And as fate would have it, Waverly's very best friend in the whole world was chosen as Belle. So not only did she not get the part she had really hoped for, but her best friend got it. But Waverly's just a sweetheart. So she celebrated with her best friend. She didn't pout or act. She was so happy for her best friend. It didn't hurt her heart unless she didn't get chosen, but that's life. Sometimes we don't get the part that we want. That's just how it happens sometimes. So we all went to see the play, and she did great. She was a great feather duster. She did a nice job, and her best friend did great as the leading lady, as Belle. But fast forward a couple months later, when the actual big production, the new release of Beauty and the Beast hit the big screens, and this is when movie theaters were open. My sister, who's there, Mimi, took Waverly to see that show. I didn't get to go to that one. I did go see it. It was so good. And I love this so much. As the credits were rolling in the beginning, and they got popcorn, and they hadn't really talked about Waverly not getting Belle, like, since that had all happened. It had been a little bit. As the credits are rolling and they're eating a popcorn and they're snuggled in their seats, Waverly leans over to Mimi and she says, "I was an amazing feather duster." It was just like so cute. And Marty was like, "That you were my sweetest granddaughter. You were such an amazing feather duster." So what I love about that is she didn't remember the fact that she wasn't chosen as Belle. I'm sure she still remembered it, but that's not where that was her perspective. That was what she focused on. She focused on the fact that she was an amazing feather duster. She made the best of the situation, and that's what she remembered. And what a lesson that is to all of us. It certainly ministered to my heart and to my sister's heart, that, we can look back on things and see them through the eyes of the Lord. We need to see ourselves through God's eyes. We're so critical on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves. We're often our worst critic many times, but to see ourselves as God sees us, it's just a whole lot better. It's like the best filter ever that you could ever use on social media. When you look at yourself through God's eyes, he sees us flaws and all and loves us. And I love that when you can look back on things in your life and you can see them through his perspective, just like Waverly did, you can be the most amazing feather duster ever. And I just thought that would minister all of us, because as we go through things, it's easy to focus on the negative. It's easy to think about, well, I didn't win this award, or I wasn't chosen for this assignment. I mean, I talked about that last week when I was here. Sometimes you're not going to get chosen for the assignment. Sometimes you're not going to get the book deal. But that's not what you focus on. You focus on the fact that, well, I was passed over for that book deal, but gosh, I'm so glad that God allowed me to have this other opportunity, that had I been tied up with this book deal, probably couldn't have stepped into what this one is. And I'm loving this process. So you just have to see things through God's perspective. And then when you look at it through his lens, it's just so much easier to digest and so much easier to celebrate and be happy and choose joy. Don't you agree, Coach?
I have notes.
You do?
I have notes. You have only begun to express the rich, profound truth of that moment. First of all, I'm very impressed, okay, that a child handled that so gracefully, and I think
Right.
that probably is a testimony to her parents and
Yes.
and other significant others in her life. I know adults that would have said, "Well, I didn't really want that anyway. Sour grapes. That's
Yeah.
not really the role I wanted. That's sour grapes." I know adults that would be envious and have hatred in their heart for the one that got it. I know adults that would have became the victim. The game was rigged. Her parents gave money to the foundation that put, something. Those are not uncommon characteristics that we see in the world from from
From mature
adult,
adults. Yeah.
yeah, from
Yeah.
adults that are far more aged chronologically.
Right.
But that is not the spirit that Christ teaches us. He teaches us humility. The Bible says that there are many parts of the body, each very different, but each a part of a functioning body. And when you have anything that's any involving a group, whether it's a play, a football team, or whatever, there are many people making various contributions, and some are more rewarded by the world than others. But what would that program be without the feather duster?
Yeah, Babette she's a character and she adds a lot to it. But if she hadn't played that character with such a charming attitude and happy to be on stage, it would have fallen flat, because she's a little French. You remember the feather? She has really cute lines and things, but not very many. It wasn't like being the main part. I think as we grow in the Lord and as we learn, I don't know, to walk through some of these things that maybe aren't easy, if we can have that same kind of reaction that Waverly had, it just makes the journey so much sweeter. I mean, I can be honest, I haven't always had that reaction. I mean, there's been many times when I probably would have had the sour grapes, but I notice as I begin to see myself as God sees me, I'm less critical of myself, and I can take the disappointments a lot. I don't know. I won't say easier, but I won't ponder them as much, and I won't focus on the disappointments. I'll focus on what God has done, because he's a good God. And I think that's also part of just keeping a grateful heart and knowing that God has the best intent for you. Jeremiah 20:11 says he has a good plan for you, and to know that you can trust him in all things. So if you didn't get the part, that's okay, because God's got a part for you down the road. And there may be a reason that you didn't get it this time. Maybe you just weren't the best, or maybe God's training you to be on stage in this other part. Maybe it's to be a blessing to the little girl who got the main part. You don't know what the circumstances are, but it's not ours to question. It's just to be faithful in the little things. And I think as we're faithful in the little things, the little parts, the little assignments, God will promote us. And I've seen that happen in my life over and over again. you're faithful in the little. You're not a diva or a diva dude. You just do the good work, and you do it with integrity. And integrity means you do the best that you can, the best of your ability, even when nobody's looking. That is what integrity is to me. And God sees it, because he is always looking. His eyes are always on you, and you will be promoted. And that's not why you do it. You do it with a
Right.
servant's heart, because that's who God's called us to be. But it's nice to know that God is the rewarder of those who follow him. And I love to see that. I love to see little Waverly kind of coming out of her shell now, and she's a couple years older since that happened. And I just think God has big plans for that little girl. But I love that story. Plus, I love that Beauty and the Beast movie. So every time I see it, because I watch it often now that I babysit, that's one of Ren's favorites. I think of every time the feather duster comes on screen, I get the biggest grin on my face because I think of Babette and Waverly saying, "I was an amazing feather duster."
Well, I have heard testimony from two what I consider to be credible sources that told the same story from different perspectives. One of them was a very accomplished author and writer that has sold millions of books. The other was a newcomer green gourd rookie that published one. And when the award ceremony came about, the rookie beat the pro. And
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yep.
and when Dell was telling that story, he was really thankful that you had such a positive attitude, because you were as happy for him getting it as he was getting it. But that is not something that the world necessarily even rewards or encourages. We're supposed, anything short of number one is losing. Vince Lombardi, a coach that I respect greatly, coming in, losing the Super Bowl makes you the world's number 2 football team in the entire world. And he said that would make us first among losers. That was Vince. You have to know Vince.
I think Ricky Bobby said that also.
Well, he got it from Vince Lombardi. But
yeah.
But
Yeah.
what came to my mind is you were sharing that story is, as coaches and as players, we get out there on that football field and we give it all we've got to win. But when the time expires in the fourth quarter, both teams shake hands with the other and show their respect, and the losing
That's
team
right.
congratulates the winning team, and the winning team consoles the losing team. It's not personal. It's not personal. It's about growing character and standing tall regardless. If there's a deep spiritual lesson here. If your joy and your happiness is dependent upon circumstances going your way,
That's right, Coach.
you
Yeah.
probably need a checkup from the neck up spiritually, because that is not, Paul said very clearly that he has learned to be content in whatever circumstances. Now, he had a right to say that because he had he was quite the champion, of the Christian movement, but he had found himself hungry. He had found himself beaten, put in jail. So I think that he had he had earned the right to say that. Some of these people
Right.
that, get up in the pulpit and they, oh, my wife or whatever, my husband, is just, well, has that relationship been tested in the same way others have? I ask this question. I don't know if this even fits into the narrative, but God's put it on my mind, so I'm going to share it with you. In men's ministry, we will, from time to time, challenge men to say, "Why do you love your wife?" That's okay. So the typical answers, now they don't put sex at the top of the list, although they want to. They want to make that kind of downrange. Oh, my wife, she's so beautiful, and she she fixes meals, and she gets the clothes, and she does this and does that and does the other. And when they finally run out of stuff, I say, "You answered a question I didn't ask. You just told me how much your wife loves you.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
haven't told me why you love your wife." Now the
Yeah,
actual,
that's true.
the correct theological answer is because we're commanded to.
Hmm.
That's the correct answer. That's not the most fun topic to talk about, but we are commanded to love our wives as Christ loved the church. The church crucified him. Okay. And
It's
he
true.
died for the church and said, Father, forgive them. But I forget how I got off on that detour. But you said when we start seeing ourselves as God sees us, well, God has a vision of us, but God shares his vision with us for the purpose of us adopting it.
Hmm.
Not for the purpose of resisting it, not dodging it, or making excuses. But I think that's a wonderful testimony. I really,
I love it
I
too.
think some adults can learn a lot from a 12-year-old.
I do too. And that the whole thing you talked about with Paul, it tells us in the word to count it all joy. And that's also, I think, isn't it also in James, but when it talks about, we're supposed to count
Mm-hmm.
it all joy. We're supposed to find joy in the journey. I mean, I'm preaching about that at the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference. It's one of the things I'm going to be keynoting about. I know I was reading in Rick Renner's book, Sparkling Gems, where it's an amazing daily devotion. I love it. And when I read about when Paul wrote a lot of this, what you were just talking about, that passage, that he was actually in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And in that particular part of the prison was where, like, Rick went through this entire outline of how horrible that prison was. It wasn't just like it was a prison, but he was probably knee deep in dung. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
like he was literally like it was the worst place you could be. And he's
Yeah.
writing about, joy and circumstances. You're exactly right. He when he's talking about having joy in those kind of circumstances, he wasn't just talking about having joy and he was, in some penthouse somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the worst of the worst places. So yeah, we're gonna go through some things, probably not that bad. We're gonna go through some things in life, and our joy can't be based on circumstances, because no matter how good you are or no matter how hard you prepared, somebody has to be the winner, right? Somebody has to win the game and somebody has to lose the game. Somebody has to get the lead part, somebody has to get the minor part. That's just how it is in life. And so if you can't celebrate with those who get the lead part over you, then you're not ready to get the lead part. That is just a hard fact. It's not pretty, it's not easy, but as we grow in the Lord, if you can't celebrate with those who win awards over you, who are your good friends, and you thought you had it in the bag, then you're not ready to win an award. Dale
Well,
and I still joke about
there
that.
you
He didn't
go.
enter this year. He did not enter this year, and I said, "Oh, were you just afraid that I might beat you this year? Okay, all right, I see how
Yeah.
that works. You win one, and then one and done. You're out. Is that it?"
Yeah.
But the
Then
person
he probably
who
said he
who
felt he felt sorry for you, wanted to
Oh,
let
he
you
said, I
win.
just forgot. It just slipped my mind. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. I know you did not just forget, but whatever. But whoever lost had to buy the breakfast. So we all went to Denny's. I think it was Denny's. Might have been Waffle House. And I had to buy, and he ordered like everything on the menu. I had to buy his breakfast. But it was just, those are fun things. But we need to celebrate the victories of others and rejoice with them, and not be jealous hearted, or, I mean, it's easy to say, but seriously, I think people who respond like that, not that I haven't in the past, but when you respond like that, it's like you're questioning God, and you're saying, well, I don't believe, God, that you have anything for me, that you're not big enough to have something for me too. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that give it to me attitude, that where's mine, God? That is
Mm.
so not attractive.
Yeah.
That is not good for any of us. And so celebrate others' victories, and keep that Waverly perspective of, just remember, I am amazing feather duster. I think about it all the time. I just love that. So I want you guys to be encouraged tonight, whether you're in the feather duster part of your life or you're in center stage with the lead part. Have a humble heart, and be grateful, and celebrate those, and clap for those who maybe have the lead part you didn't get. It's just important that we keep that perspective.
When you mentioned, Michelle, that you're keynoting at a conference, several thoughts
Mhm.
went through my mind. First of all, well, good, maybe things are getting back to normal again. But the second thought I had, I do not sing in the shower, I promise. But I do rehearse my keynote speeches that,
Mhm.
you know. And tonight, as I was showering, I was kind of going through this, speech well, I'd like to give if somebody would ask me, to do it. But it's a great keynote speech, and it revolves around the worst football game in my entire career. We lost that game 52 to nothing.
Oh,
52
wow.
to nothing. We were one of the best teams in the state of Florida. And we lose. Not just lose, get shut out. We scored zero. I live that game in my head almost every day. In many ways, it haunts me. But do you know, Michelle, that that's the best game I ever played? And I'm giving away my keynote speech here, folks. Oh, no, this is a teaser. This is
It's
a
a
promo
glimpse.
for
That's
my...
right.
Yeah. I am deeply ashamed that we brought embarrassment to our supporters, the cheerleaders, the coaching staff, the fans, and I hurt deeply for the way we performed that night. But that night, I learned something far more valuable than any winning game on a Friday night. I learned this. I passed the test. I learned that you can be at your best when things are at their worst.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are things now a football game you can kind of control, but when you get diagnosed with cancer, you can't control that. You
Right.
can only control how you react.
That's right.
You may suffer the loss of a loved one, as Marty did.
Mm-hmm.
You can't help that. But you can decide how to react. And by the way, I made 18 unassisted tackles that night. I
Wow.
single-handedly stopped 18 touchdowns. Well, I had to. Nobody else was doing it.
I was going to say, were you out there by yourself?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
But that game taught me so much, and I did give that speech on my coach's 70th birthday party, and it was there. There was some. I felt good about it, but I literally play that game in my head over and over and over, and some of it haunts me, but some of it gives me such strength. Because I found out that you can rise above the circumstances. It's a decision you make. You decide to go God's way or go your way. Well, there's choices that we make, and it has strengthened me through those times in our lives that things happen to us that we had nothing to do with. I worked in disaster.
Well, it shows your
relief.
true character. It does.
Well,
it shows your character when you. Yeah. It does when things are going bad, and if things are going good, it's easy to be all upbeat and
Be a champ.
and have a positive attitude, right?
Sure.
But when things are not so great, I always talk about it's like squeezing a tube of toothpaste. If there's toothpaste in it, guess what comes out?
Yeah.
Toothpaste. If it's something else,
What
something
else would
comes
be in
out.
a toothpaste? But anyway,
So, when you're squeezed and the pressure's on, you better have
you find out
some
what's
Jesus
inside.
coming out of there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Zig Ziglar, who has been a tremendous influence in my life, said, a man like a tree is easiest measured when down. So,
That's good. Yeah, that's exactly right.
oh, he was loaded with good ones. I am so grateful for his ministry, and I can recite almost verbatim so many of his speeches. They've had such an impact. But folks, you just don't know. You may be out there listening to this and say, I'm not a Zig Ziglar, or I'm not a Michelle Medlock Adams, or any. Okay, but you have an audience of somebody, that little child. When you get in that car and don't buckle your seatbelt, you're having an influence on that child. When you get in that car and grab your phone and start, they're watching.
Yeah, they are.
Remember that story? I want to grow up. What was it? The Cat's in the Cradle and the
Oh yeah,
Silver
it's such a
Spoon.
sad song. I know.
Well, what
He became
makes
just
it,
like his dad. Yeah.
what's so sad about it is the truth that it contains. And it's like a good comedy. Some good comedy, we laugh at it because there's a little bit of truth in it. And otherwise it would just be, funny. but it makes us think. All right. Well, gosh, it's been fun, Michelle. Now the keynote you're doing, you said in Kentucky, is that going to be virtual or live or what's going on?
I think they had first thought it could be live, but it's, I just got word it's going to be virtual. So I'm doing 3 keynotes, but they'll be from right here. So now I'm going to Blue Ridge this year and it is in person. So far that's still up. And then Florida Christian Writers Conference in the fall is also in person. I'm going to that one to teach. So of the 3 I've said yes to, 1 is virtual and 2 are in person. So we're making some progress.
Well,
that's good.
It's good because this pandemic has sent everybody reeling, and it's good to get out of free fall and start fighting back.
I agree. It's starting to feel a little bit more normal here in Southern Indiana. We're in the blue now, which means you can open up full capacity. So restaurants are pretty much full, and people are still wearing masks, of course, but it's nice to see people out. Marty and I went to dinner Friday night. We hadn't gone out to dinner, like actually in a restaurant in a long time. And in fact, I said, you ought to run for mayor or something. It was like everybody kept stepping by the table and we couldn't even get a bite. There'd be somebody else there. And we hadn't seen people in a while. It was really a fun night to go out. It just felt more like it had before, like pre-pandemic. So I was excited. Yeah.
I was really proud of our governor. Have you seen the pictures of our governor, DeSantis, in Florida?
No, but I like him.
It's spring break is in, full swing in
Oh,
Florida.
yes.
Florida depends upon, the economy boost that comes by way of spring break. And, while some public figures are in hiding or in talking virtually and whatever, our governor's out drinking beer with the guys. He's holding up a beer. It's like
having a spring break all his own, isn't he?
Well, he's from the Daytona area. He's also a military veteran, and I thought, good for you, Governor. I mean, that just that's Florida. That's
that's right.
us.
Our spring break in our city started today, and there's a lot of people headed your way. So
bring your money, folks. Hey, how we were well into the 80s in North Florida today. How about you?
Wow. No, we were mid-50s and rainy, so not so fun here, but better than 30s. So yeah.
Well, we are expecting rain tomorrow here, which is so great because they just laid down sod. I'm not going to say too much about it. I do because my wife, I do not want to do anything to steal her thunder because she has the before and the after, and our backyard has been transformed into it kind of reminds me of Dell's little backyard fire pit thing. I don't have a fire pit yet, but it's on the list. But a place where you can just sit down and relax and enjoy time, either alone or with family and friends.
That's great.
And she's hoping that Shelby will get to come down later. So we're trying to get everything done. So when Shelby gets here, it's like the debut of the
fun.
new,
yes.
I
totally get that. Yeah.
I bet you do. So, all righty. Well, I think folks are getting sleepy out there.
Yes.
It's always fun just having you visit, and you've always got something good for us. Michelle and I look forward to every episode of PJNet.TV with you. And you're a champ, and I appreciate you, girl. And it's just great to have you with us. And we'll see you about this time next week.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Sounds all right, folks. Michelle Medlock Adams. Hey, that is a view high atop the Eagle's Nest, the broadcast facilities here at PJNet.TV. I'll switch it back over to this. Well, that wraps it up for me tonight anyway. But you know what? We're going to do this again tomorrow night. And we have got, I believe it's Catherine Pacehour at the 9 o'clock hour. And, of course, J.D. Winninger will be here with us at 9:30. Those times are Eastern, folks. If you're not in the Eastern time zone, I presume that you can do the appropriate math. And please make your plans to come join us. I hope you'll join us in the chat room fellowship at pjnet.tv. So before I leave, I would like to leave you with something, as if we haven't been giving you something all along. But I want to leave you with a challenge. The challenge is in the form of 2 very basic, simple questions, and you don't have to answer to me or anybody else, but I'd like you to ask yourself and be honest with yourself. What is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? Next question. How long ago was that? I hope none of us will ever be satisfied with our answers.